What is the academic genre? Most of us have been practicing academic writing since at least the second grade. Yet, I have found that most college students and even graduate students who are majoring in English still have a very difficult time pinpointing exactly what the academic genre is. So I want to take you through a couple of the staples, the hallmarks of academic writing. First of all, what is the academic genre about? Well, in the humanities, the academic genre is always firstly about primary texts. So primary texts are used to drive the line of inquiry at every step of the way. So what is a primary text? That's a great question. A primary text is an artifact upon which your line of inquiry centers or revolves. An artifact literally can be anything. It can be a cookbook. It can be a song, an entire album. It could be Minecraft. It could be a book, an article, a tree, a body. The list goes on and on. Knowing your audience in any genre is super important. In the academic genres in the humanities, you want to assume that your discourse community is made up of academics and scholars that are already familiar with your discipline and the topic about which you're writing. So if you're writing in the discipline of history, you can assume that your reader is a historian. If you're writing in the discipline of folklore, you can assume that your reader is a folklorist. That means that you're not going to have to define the basics. Your line of inquiry can focus instead on persuasion rather than information. When you sit down to write anything, you should always have a sense about what your goals are. There are a set of goals that I like to use to think about academic writing. The first one is that the academic genres seek to boldly redefine how we think about text and context. Goal number 2 is to persuade rather than to inform. And the primary way that a writer of academic text does that is through argument. The third goal of the academic genres is to pose questions, usually not literally, so that you can move towards some answers. The fourth goal of the academic genres is to analyze in your paragraphs as the central function rather than summarize, which would put your essay into the category of a report or a reference document. The fifth goal of the genre is to present or frame information in a new or interesting way. That means that you always want to be trying to make topics, context, and text feel relevant in the moment. So that's one of the reasons why texts that are old, like Chaucer's Tales, can continuously be published upon even in the 21st century, because scholars are always reframing materials, making them seem fresh. And a final goal of the academic genres is to express ideas in a style that is accepted in your discipline. Oftentimes that involves first educating yourself about what the discipline norms are, which this series that I made does in part. Another way that you can gain information about this is to hit your library, go to the database, and look at peer-reviewed articles that are published in your discipline and pick up books. So now that you know the basics of the genre, in terms of at least how it's defined and how it functions, a lot of students begin to wonder how they can begin to write the academic genre. My suggestion is to always firstly start with yourself. Think about what you're really interested in and why you're interested in it, and let that passion shine through. Start to develop your own observations and your own arguments about the primary texts. Before you look at any research, before you ask others what they think about it, start with your own emotions, begin with your own ways of thinking and your belief systems and your values when it comes to the artifact. So start with yourself first. Next, place yourself in the discussion. When it comes to any artifact, I don't care if it's a tree or Chaucer, there's already a discussion going on about that artifact, and that discussion has probably been going on for a long time, at least some facet of it. So after you've already started with yourself and you understand your way of thinking about the artifact, the next thing that you'll want to do is join the broader discussion about that artifact. You can engage research, but I like to think of it more as exploration. Research can seem like a really rigid idea for a lot of students in terms of you go to the library, you look at a database, and that's all very relevant and very great. But there are other ways to explore your ideas and to enter the discussion. Many other outlets. You can watch my video on research to learn more.